along, you ham-fisted stable boys. I love quoting the books. Hey fam, I am Felicia James, but you could call me Nakomi, and welcome back to my channel for Light Take the Wheel. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done so before. And please stop by my Discord channel. There will be links below to enter into my Wheel of Time episode 1 pool. You can go there and submit a date where you think that the episode 1 of Wheel of Time will be released, and whoever has the closest date will win a $25 gift card to Amazon. Please go by. It's lots of fun just to think and speculate about when we think it'll come out. I mean, what will happen first? Will they basically find out that the moon landing was fake, or will Wheel of Time come out first? You never know. So come on guys, out to my Discord channel and just enjoy the conversation or enter for a chance to win. So today's video will have spoilers ranging from Fires of Heaven all the way to A Tower of Midnight. So you have been warned. I'm just gonna go and, just talk, because this topic I always love when I basically reread the books, and it is 2 letters. Now, I'm not talking about 2 letters that Elaine sent Rand. One day, if I feel like torturing myself, I'll basically go over that travesty where it just sounds like, a letter that was sent to a boy in high school from a teen girl at, during lunch or something like that. Basically, it's just ridiculous. But I'm going to go over 2 letters. Now, also, there were another set of 2 letters that came, and it actually came at kind of the beginning of this story. So the 2 letters that I am mentioning is from Moraine to Rand and to Tom Merlin. But it all starts when Rand has basically taken Cairhien. He and his forces of Aiel have basically saved Cairhien from Couladin and his Aiel, his Shido Aiel, who basically came to ravage and pillage, and so Rand has basically won and is going about his task of ordering and organizing Cairhien, getting them back on their feet, and also organizing his troops for his planned attack on Ilion, which basically is where Samael is. So one morning, Rand basically is waiting around for Mat, as he's had he dismisses some Cairhien and Tyran lords from his presence. He's waiting for Mat so he could talk to Mat basically about being Targaryen, or about his duty basically to the pattern. And so Rand is waiting around, and Moraine, Egwene, and Aviendha basically come into the room. They come in, they make their little comments, basically little jabs at each other. But then Moraine tells Rand that she has 2 letters for him that have come from the tower. So one letter sounds like an obvious trap, the one from Elida, and the one from Aviarin somehow kind of sounds like a cry for help or something like that, basically. But he thinks both of them sound suspect. It is what it is. Moraine asks if he sees anything else in the letters, and basically he says that, he notices that obviously they have spies in the city, or else Elida wouldn't have known so quickly. And so by asking those questions, Moraine is basically kind of trying to see where his deduction skills are, and his, what he can see, which is basically, underneath that can basically hurt him. So by his answers, basically Moraine sees that he can handle himself. And so she says, "You will do well." Now, ever since Rand led the Aiel out of the waste, basically, to chase behind Couladin, Moraine has been trying to cram everything she knows about politics and ruling into Rand's brain as much as he'll allow, because, he has a lot to do, but basically he, does realize her value and doesn't want to be a dick anymore. And so basically, she teaches him as much as she can. And coincidentally, she teaches Egwene. So, Gwen picks up on a lot of this also and uses this in the books. So she is happy that he is retaining a lot of what he has learned from her. And then Matt enters, of course. And so Rand could have, asked the ladies to leave or whatever, basically, but instead he decides to let them stay because he knows that is going to put Matt a little bit off balance having the ladies there. But this is also another one of those, tricks and advice that Moiraine has given Rand. Another one of my favorite quotes from the book is, "Use what you must, or let the shadow cover the world." And Rand says that is something that Moiraine basically taught him. And basically he realizes that, okay, he has certain resources, and one of the resources that he has to him is his Ta'veren nature of bringing to him what he needs. And he realizes that Matt is a general extraordinaire, plain and simple. So he's like, so he needs to speak to Matt so that Matt will stop running. And so that's what he so he comes in and basically, he tells Matt, I see that, you guys, your army is basically growing, and they call it the band of the Red Hand, which is a ancient name of an army, basically known from all the way to the Trolloc Wars. And so, Matt's nonchalant about it, like, somebody basically thought it up and it stuck. So also Moiraine starts to poke at him, talking about how, brave he's been, basically going out to scout for the band, where a general probably would have, sent his, scouts to do that. But he basically was so brave that he decided to do that. I think there was also a little bit of a lesson from Moiraine telling Matt, chill out, son. I mean, you're Ta'veren and all that, but you're not immortal. You could use other people to get what you need, but that's just not exactly Matt. So I understand, it is what it is. I mean, Rand, it took a while for Rand to realize that that's what he needs to do. And I mean, hey, spoilers, even when finally when Perrin basically realizes that, it's going to happen, he might as well basically use what he has at his hands. It is what it is. So basically, but she also says, you are very brave. Very brave. And so that just stuck out as you read it. And you're just like, what is going on with Moiraine? And during the exchange, Moiraine says, we all do as we must, as the pattern decrees. And that basically is just something that, sticks with Rand as, throughout the books, as far as just basically doing what the pattern, the pattern is in control. There's but so much that you can really control. You could possibly control, as he always says, you could control what you can, and just ride the pattern basically. Or you can basically try to force the pattern, and the pattern will basically show you who's boss. So, you might as well just basically go where the pattern is pushing you, but you can basically make some decisions along the way. So, and pretty much, Moiraine is that living embodiment of doing as you must. Then while Matt is babbling on, as he basically is uncomfortable with the comments from Moiraine, he drops the tea. He drops the tea that Morghese is dead. It shocks everyone in the room. Moiraine mutters something that sounds like a prayer. Egwene is just pop-eyed, and can't believe it as she holds herself. And Rand is stunned, and then becomes enraged, and decides that Robin! So he's just like, I'm gonna go there right now and just kill this mother. So, but Moiraine says, wait until tomorrow. And Rand is like, you right. I'm gonna wait until tomorrow. Yeah, I gotta be cold, calculating, calm, like Liam Neeson. So he basically is just like, it's robbing, Matt, robbing. And so Rand basically agrees to go the next day, but he says that it's going to be a raid, not a whole bunch of armies, just basically a raid. And Avienda and Egwene basically say that they'll go with him, and they assume that Moraine says, yeah, Moraine, they include Moraine. It's like, you have 3 of us basically to go with you. And so Rand is like, sure. And so after their discussion and they're about to leave, Rand asks Moraine, why didn't you try to talk me out of it? And so Moraine leaves with her classic words, the wheel weaves as the wheel wills, and leaves and says, you will do well, and leaves. And when she gets outside, she tells Egwene and Avienda, you guys do well with him. Be there, because he's going to need your advice and someone who's not going to run away when he basically pushes. And then tells them, tomorrow will be difficult for us all. So, ominous. The next day, Moraine basically greets Rand and decides to tell them, no, before we leave, there's something I got to show you all at the docks. So she leads them all to the docks and leads them out to where the peddlers' wagons are, where Kadira's wagons are, and basically, she leads them out there. And when they go out there, out of nowhere, well, Rand's about to be like, what the hell am I out here for? I got things to do. And the next thing you know, boom, one of the carts basically blow open, and out of nowhere, you just see a human kite basically take wind, and Lanfear basically steps down on air steps. And it's just like, loose spirit. She is straight up just like crazy woman right now. And it's just like, you let someone touch you? Who is Avienda? And she basically grabs Egwene and Avienda in some type of weave, and they are racked with pain. And so Rand basically tries to stop it or cut her weave, and she basically knocks it away. And he's surprised by how strong she is, as she basically fights back and forth with him, and he could try to kill her, but he basically decides not to, because that's just not the kind of person that he is. He doesn't hurt women. It hurts him badly to even think about hurting a woman. And so he's just trying to fight her, maybe try to knock her out or something like that. And then next thing you know, Moraine comes out of nowhere and tackles her through the twisted doorframe Ta'angreal. And then out of nowhere is a blast of light, and just basically the doorway starts to melt immediately. And Rand has to basically grab land with air to basically make him not try to go any closer to this burning mass that used to be the doorframe. And then Land says that he no longer feels her. And so, they're like, she's dead and she's gone. And Rand is like, because I couldn't kill a woman, I let Lanfear kill Moraine. And he is just like shell-shocked with everything that happened, and decides to, go and, go somewhere to just basically try to just be alone. He just wants to be alone. And he runs to a hut, this empty hut, and is just sitting down inside of there. And while he's sitting there and trying to force himself to grieve through the shock, he remembers that she gave him the 2 letters. And so he takes the letters out, and when she gave him the letters, she said, look at these when you have time to read them, basically, just something passing. And so he takes the letters out and realizes that one is to him and one is to Tom Maryland. Maybe she told him that when she gave it to him. I believe she did. But basically, one is for him. So he takes the one for Tom Maryland and basically puts it in his pocket and begins to read. She says that these words will fade. she put a ward on the letter that is attuned to him, and so it will fade if basically after he has read the letters and he takes it and he takes it out of his hands. So that's one. Two, she says that if you're reading this, everything that I hoped to happen has happened. I knew that what was going to happen at the docks was going to happen. It was going to be one of three different things that could happen. Either that, or Landfair kills you, or Landfair basically takes you away, and the next time they see you, you call yourself Luz Theron, and you are now Landfair's devoted lover. So, obviously, well, to her, she hoped that only losing herself and Landfair would be the roughest part of the day. I said that that was a noble trade-off. She also says that she doesn't know what's going to basically happen after it, except for a small thing that doesn't have anything to do with him. But she knew that she had to act the way she did because she knew that he would not kill Landfair, or at least he couldn't right now if he wanted to. She basically thought that if he tried to save her, he could do it, thinking that he could sidestep fate and be able to, get away with it. But she knew that that was too big a risk, and every way that this could possibly end out, it could only end out those three ways. So she did what she had to do and sacrificed herself. In the letter, she also said, trust no woman who is Aes Sedai right now. She says, be as suspect of Varen as you are of Alviarin, which is just like, boom. Wow. If that wasn't a bell gong, I don't know what was. She tells him that Aes Sedai will basically try to make you dance the way that they want you to because they've been doing it for so long. But she realized after trying to push and pull him where she wanted that basically he needed to dance free for the pattern to basically be the way that it's supposed to go. Lastly, she tells him, be wary of Jason Natal. She says she cannot approve, but she understands. So basically, she realizes that Jason Natal somehow is a Forsaken. I mean, you're not going to basically put much past Moraine. She has knowledge for days, and basically somehow she figures out that, yeah, okay, you needed someone to teach you. This guy out of nowhere comes. He was already suspect. I know that group has to be Dark Friends. I understand. And I think that was just one of the coolest things, because he was always afraid of basically, what people would say. But at the same time, she understood that he needed to do whatever he had to do so that he could basically give the light a chance. And him learning to, channel was basically number one on the list. She finishes with, may the light illumine and protect you. You will do well. And it's just beautiful. And so he reads it a couple more times, just basically so he could have it memorized, and realizes that, he still had, she tells him to give, Tom his letter, basically. But for a second, he almost flinches and tried to think about reading it. But he thinks, maybe she did the same thing to his that she did to Rand's, that it basically would fade after a while, and he didn't want to risk it, so she didn't do that. The second letter. Now, I'm not sure if Rand knew where Tom was exactly, but he gives the letter to Matt when he drops Matt off right outside of Saladar to go and pick up Elaine and get her to Camelin so that she could basically be crowned, because he by then is just like, drowning in towns to basically to mayor. He's just like, I'm the president for half the countries in the world and I don't have the time, so please help me out. So basically he gives the letter to Matt, and when Matt sees Tom in Saladar, lucky, he gives it to Tom, and Tom basically takes it and walks off. And we really don't see that letter again until all the way in book 11 in The Knife of Dreams. So basically, Matt and company have just seen the craziest thing that they could ever imagine. A town basically just disappeared in front of their eyes. It is one of the signs that Tarmangaiden is approaching, and so basically it's freaking everybody out. And everybody's trying to, just take their minds off of it, drink, and, talk a bit and drink. And so basically, Matt stops playing. I think he was playing Snakes and Foxes with Oliver, and then basically decides to ask. He steps away. I think Noel takes his spot, and then he asks Tom, "Hey, I see you with that note that you keep on reading. I mean, what's going on? What's going on with that letter?" And so Tom basically takes the letter and gives it to him. And Matt is like, "I don't want to read your letters, never mind. I don't want to read your letters or nothing like that," basically. And so Tom says, "No, read it. It involves you." And so Matt is like, "All right, well, God, I should have just kept my damn mouth shut." But takes it and reads it, and it starts off, "My dearest Tom." So Matt's just like, "Oh, heck no. I'm not trying to read your love letters from Moraine. What the hell is this about?" So Matt reads on, and it basically says that, some things she cannot say because it will bring disaster to, she says, heed exactly what she says. And then she goes on to say that you will be told that I'm dead, but I am not. Maybe you, Matt, and another, someone she does not know, may try to rescue her. That's not definite, basically. Maybe Tom will not. Maybe Tom cannot. Or maybe Matt cannot. But she knows that it has to be Tom, Matt, and some other person that she doesn't know to basically have a chance to rescue her. She tells him, if you try, it must be all three for it to have a chance to succeed. A chance. She also says that death may come even if you take all three. She has seen success and failure with the three, where one, some, or all of them die, where all live but survive as captives. But there is a chance for them to succeed if all three come. She also tells him, don't show Matt the letter until he actually asks. Some things have to fall out exactly the way that they're meant to fall out, or else this will not work. She says her final point, to remember the game Snakes and Foxes. Remember and heed. And then thunder, boom, outside. I love how Robert Jordan writes in thunder claps and lightning strikes. I love it. It's so amazing. So that is the story of Moraine and her two letters. I absolutely love Moraine for her bravery during this point. I mean, she earns her flowers during this time. To know ever since basically Roydion that she was going to die basically and might have a chance to come back, but the thing that she has been basically striving for ever since the beginning of her journey 22 years or 21 years prior basically comes down to this, where she is only going to really be able to be with him for a certain amount of time, and then she has to let him go like a dove, and hope that everything that she can give him, will be enough. But at the same time, she has faith. She has faith in the pattern. That's her thing. She's like the wheel weaves as the wheel wills. That means that however the pattern is going to turn out is how the wheel means for it to happen. And basically they have to just trust in that, and that however it weaves is going to be basically the best for them all. So I believe that she shows as much bravery, like how Lan says, she's a soldier as much as as him, basically, how she walked to her death, and took it. Basically, death is light as a feather, duty is heavy as a mountain. She Rand, they live by that. And that is basically why I just absolutely love those three and those foundation points for Rand basically to become who he had to become. Also, I think about Rand during this time and basically how much he never knew how much she meant. It's almost as though, it's like a person, a mentor, a parent, God forbid, that, you lose, but you railed against them the entire time. And then basically when they're not there, you don't know how you're going to go on somewhat without her. But he knew he had to. So, it's a testament to her that he did absorb what he basically needed to learn. And he was just basically being a dumbass, listening, but at the same time, jabbing at her to basically kind of keep her at a certain distance. But at the same time, it was necessary because he needed to, gain his legs. He needed to be able to learn how to run and fly, or else he never would have been what he became. And honestly, if that's to be said, the pattern needed for Moiraine to basically be taken away for him to be able to become the dragon. Mat, chance and bravery. From when she was telling him, you're brave, very brave. It speaks to, when later on in the books, when Egwene, I don't think this is too much of a spoiler, but Egwene basically mentions about how Mat, jumped in to save a guy who he thought was drowning, and the person was joking around, and he basically was like, let's see, if I do this again, basically, as everybody else in the town, in the village basically made fun of him. And then a kid the next week or something like that basically started drowning, and he jumped in again, even though he said he wasn't going to. That's just Mat. Mat basically can't, if he can, or even if he feels like there's a chance, he's going to basically try to do the right thing. And the right thing was to save Moiraine. And especially as Sheet says that he might have a chance, he's like, I'll take those odds. I think I could do it. And so that's why I just love Mat so much. He's just like, what? Another one of my favorite Mat quotes. I probably said this before in another video basically, but he tells Arganda, because I'll be a dark friend before I give up without trying anything. That basically just speaks to Mat. Mat won't give up. Mat basically is going to do everything he can, to make sure that basically that he can save who needs to be saved. And that's basically a hero. He is a hero. I am no bloody hero. You're a hero, Mat, and we love you for it. And if anybody you was going to trust basically to have a chance, you have a 1 in a billion chance. I mean, maybe the chance is as far away as, exactly where the moon's placement is basically around the earth. Sorry, I was watching some moon conspiracy theories. But basically, if you have a chance, who you going to let gamble? Who you going to let roll the dice? Who you going to let pick the card? I'll let Mat pluck any day. And that's basically why it succeeded. I'm not going to go too much into the details, but, Laffo, listen and find out. Why not? Yeah, I'm a fan of the audiobooks, of course. But I am collecting the books. I am waiting for Fires of Heaven to arrive in the mail. I'm getting there. And I own a copy of Knife of Dreams. It's my favorite book. I was just like, I'm getting that one first. It is what it is. And a copy of the companion. So, my collection's growing, and I'm so happy about that. So that's great. But that was my video, guys. I'm so happy that you guys stopped by, listened. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please like if you did, and subscribe. Please leave a comment. I love to talk to you guys. You people, I don't want to basically offend anybody. I don't mean to offend by saying guys. I'm from New York. Use guys. Hey, cut me some slack. Cut me some slack. Anyway, you can find me at Call Me Not Homie on Discord and Instagram. You can also find me at Call Me Not Homie 1, the number 1 on Twitter. And if you want to contact me, send me, topics for episodes, or, just any type of correspondence, you can send me an email at callmenotcallme@gmail.com. So I look forward to the next time, guys. Thank you for joining me again with Light Takes the Wheel. Till the next time, may you always find water and shade.